Thank you for joining the Clarity and Purpose Show, where cause-driven business leaders share what you need to know to align your purpose and your team. They'll drop wisdom and knowledge about why they lead, what challenges they face, and how they remove the barriers that keep them from growing. Our guest today is the president of Hope Local. They create frameworks and customized training for local faith-based organizations, helping vulnerable children find forever families. Every child deserves to belong to a family they can call their own. And Hope Local does this here in Fort Worth and other surrounding cities, helping organizations and churches equip them to bring kids and forever families. Let's welcome Mark Reidland. All right, man. Well, in all seriousness, Mark, you're an incredible man. I'm grateful that we're friends. We also used to be colleagues, but now we get to be even partners in business as you lead Hope Local here in Fort Worth. And we'll get into that. So let's just kick it off. We've got 4 questions. And this first question, Mark, what is your why? What's the big why? Why do you do what you do?
This is really simple for me. This is a thing that I've known a big portion of my life, and it's sort of grown and matured and changed as I've gotten older and become a father and those types of things. But it all just boils down to this: I'm just not okay with the fact that there's kids without families in this world. It's not okay with me. I don't think it's right. It's not good. There's all sorts of science around that, but I don't even have to go into that. It's just not okay. Kids have little to no chance of success in life without some sort of support and love and help and someone on their side fighting for them. And it's really important to me that I'm doing whatever I can to help kids get placed into families. And so that's, started really just as a personal mission. And I'm so lucky and thankful to be able to carry that into my career now, in a role that's fighting for kids to have forever families.
And you personally have made that happen in your own family. So explain that.
Yeah, my wife and I, we have 6 kiddos. 3 of them are biological. It's kind of weird. Our younger 3 are biological boys, and our older 3 we've all adopted from foster care in Texas. So we originally were going to adopt a 2-year-old little princess that was going to fit into the birth order, and it was going to be nice and neat, very sweet. She was going to love me. I just imagined we'd sit on the couch and watch movies, and she'd sit in my lap, and it was going to be so sweet. But it didn't take long in the process when we were getting trained and licensed for adoption and learning about the system, where we realized that there's really not much of a need for adopting 2-year-old princesses. That's a great thing if that's something that you're called to, but really the need is for older kids. Most of the kids in the foster care system are teenagers. Otherwise, they're sibling groups or have medical disabilities. And so our heart was to help. We didn't just want to add another kid to our family. We wanted to open our hearts and homes to a kid and give them a family. And so we ended up bringing home a 16-year-old girl. She turned 17 the month that she moved in. So we just jumped right into parenting teenagers. And 6 months later, we adopted her 14-year-old biological brother, Joe. It took us a little while to win him over. He didn't want to be adopted at first. And then this last August, we finalized our 3rd adoption of Jonah about a week before he turned 18. And so we are a wild family, and it's always an adventure at the Reidland home.
It is so true. We used to work out in the mornings, and you tell me stories. I was horrified sometimes when I walk out of there. But, but Mark, you're someone I look up to, and you're someone that I see like you're such a family man, and you're someone that values people so well. And you've been able to carry that into what you do in your family and showing that there's more capacity that you have as a man and a human, but also in your family, in the realm that God's given you to make an impact in other kids. And then that's now overflowing into you being president of Hope Fort Worth. So knowing that it's, that can be a touchy subject for a lot of people. And I'm sure this plays in this next question, but it's like, what gets in the way of making that why happen, making that a reality?
Yeah, there's a couple just really obvious major challenges. One is the unfortunate complexity of the system. So everyone's familiar with child welfare and child protective services, CPS, and those types of things. And And it's always confusing for everyone. For us to say something like, "Hey, there's, in Texas where we are here, there's roughly 16,000 kids. Changes every day, obviously, but 16,000 kids in foster care proper, about 30,000 statewide that are under like state supervision, but 16,000 kids in foster care, and roughly 7,000 of those waiting to be adopted. They have no family. So when you say something like that, you're like, man, we need to fix this. And then when people have ideas for how to move that forward and take care of those kids, it's always met with lots of difficulty, and it's a slow process, and it's always more difficult than anybody wants it to be. And for good reason. You have kids' lives at stake. You have to really approach those things very carefully, but the system is very difficult to work with. The state is bound by legal things, and so like here's an example. I'm actively recruiting families to adopt these kids, and I'm saying, hey, here's these amazing kids, and they need a family, and I'll have a family that'll be interested, and they'll say, hey, tell me about Maury. I see that he's 17. What can you tell me about him so that I can begin to evaluate whether he'd be a good fit in my home? And so I'll approach CPS or the state, or OCOK is our community, our kids is the organization that manages that here in our region, and they'd say, hey, we can't tell you anything because it's private. And I'm like, well, yeah, I get that we want to protect his privacy, but also I have a family who's interested but needs to know some more information, and like there's barriers like that at every corner. Wow. And it's infuriating, but it just is what it is. And so those are the things that we're constantly trying to get past. And then, of course, we run into the same thing with families, sort of what you alluded to. Opening your home to any kid is very frightening for most people. And then when you say things like, hey, really, the need is for teenagers, it's even more scary because they imagine, all the difficulty that might come with. And the funny thing is that they're right. It is going to come with difficulty. But we sort of just have to, the challenge is helping them understand that, yes, it is going to be difficult and there's challenges, and it's soul crushingly hard at times, but it's still beautiful and worthy and right. And you can totally do it. And we're here with you by your side when you do. So those are kind of the big things that we deal with.
Man, and I know, that's basically what you're doing, right? You're combating those things, trying to make it an easier process for people to get involved, be a part of the organization, but also in the communities they're involved in. I know you connect with churches, but let's go a little deeper. So how does Mark Reidland get in the way of making this happen?
Man, this is how vulnerable I need to be with you guys here. It's funny. I've only been in this position just a little bit over a year now. I've worked around in this arena for quite some time, but I had an opportunity to step into leadership at this organization, and when I step in, I really imagined that I was going to be a way better leader than I actually am. And it doesn't take long when you're actually in charge for your weaknesses to get exposed. And so there's a couple things that I think inhibit us that I'm working through. One is I'm a slow to change guy. I'm very methodical and systematic, and I like to measure things. And when someone comes in with a great idea, oftentimes I'm scared because I'm like, well, that might change the trajectory that we're on, or that might mess up this plan over here. And what if this happens? And I'm very analytical by nature. That's the gift. That's one of the giftings that I have, which is ultimately helpful for the organization, but sometimes limiting because it's so slow. And so I'm working on this year at being agile is sort of the word. Like when there's a good idea or when there's an opportunity, I just want to jump on it instead of sort of being paralyzed in my own analysis of the things that could go wrong or what's going on.
Man, that's good. So then what are you doing even more so to stretch your team and grow in that type of capacity?
Well, there's a whole host of things. Like we want to spend a lot of time in collaboration with all of our partners. So we've been spending time in meetings with the state, with CPS, and talk about, we actually, in a very frightening move, we invite them to take a look at all the things that we're doing and say, hey, what's good and what's bad? What don't you like? What's helping you and what's hurting you? And some of the things they say just hurt. And that always, of course, leads to change. And we've done the same thing with child placement agencies. Obviously, we have to partner with them quite a bit in our churches, and then even just people that we work with. We invite feedback from them because it really is important. Even though I'm happy about my ideas, oftentimes they're not perfect. And so if someone from the outside can give us some wisdom about how well or not well those things are working, we're taking a look at that and then just making a decisive move on fixing and changing those things, not getting stuck in analyzing it over and over again.
That's good. Okay, and lastly, we've really done some studies on how to ask the right questions so our audience, can get a feel for problems and solutions, and we really want this to be a place for obviously us to connect, but people to really get solutions. So I think this is a good one. What is it you need to stop or subtract in your life today so that you can grow?
Well, there's some major things that we've looked at the beginning of this year. I sort of have this idea that everyone should be and is as passionate about this as me, and unfortunately, that's not how this works. And I just imagine that if I just told everyone the problem, everyone would be like, "Oh yeah, here's all of our money and our support, and we're with you." But that's really not how it works. And so last year, I think we spent a little more time than we should have pursuing relationships that really didn't show any signs that they'd be fruitful. And so one of the things that we do is we're partnering with churches to help them advocate for the kids that are waiting to be adopted. And so there's churches that are sort of just lukewarm, wishy-washy, and they sort of give us some lip service. Oh yeah, we love what you do, but then they never really add any commitment to it. And so this year we just decided that there's enough churches in need to go around, that I'm not going to waste time courting those relationships nearly as much. I'm just going to cast the vision, throw it out there and say, hey, are you in? Great. If you're in, let's get to work. And if you're not, great. I'm going to move on down the road and call the next church, because I don't have time to play these games anymore. Call me when you're ready, and then we'll get going. And so I think that's helped us actually find some momentum. So instead of going to 10 meetings with one pastor just to get them to take one step, I'm just saying, hey, let me know when you're ready to move on this, and I'm moving on to the next church. And as a result, we've added a lot of like people who are ready to commit and to serve these kids better. So that's one of the things that we're working on, eliminating pursuing relationships that aren't really fruitful.
No, that's really good, because some people spend so much time on something that they're excited about, or an opportunity, or this right person, they feel like it's a really good fit, but they're not ready. And you're wasting a ton of energy when there's already people out there ready and they're excited. I remember we went to lunch and you were telling me about an opportunity with another pastor, and he's coming back now being like, how can I better serve and bring other people in and do what we need to do? And I'm like, man, those are the type of people you need. Like right there. That's the only thing that's going to really keep this thing growing. But that's really good, Mark. Anything else you want to share as far as what you do and how this connects?
Man, I keep these numbers right here by me. I think this is really, really important. So these numbers right here represent some things in our county. So in Tarrant County, where we're located, and we serve more than Tarrant County, but this is sort of just home base. There's 202 kids waiting to be adopted. It means they have no family. There's no one there for them. They're fast approaching a life where they've had no one fighting for them or helping them, or no one on their side. They really are of no fault of their own set behind. And of those 202, 55 this year, they're expecting to just age out.
Wow.
And I think it's really important to keep these things close to you, so that you always remember what you're after and what you're pursuing and what you're working towards, because that's motivation for us here.
Man, that's good. I mean, that's a good lesson and a piece to any business to do. But also, I think it's good motivation to plug into what y'all are doing. So if y'all are interested to check out Hope Local, we'll put all the information in the show notes. Anything that you're watching from or listening from, that information will be right below, available to you to reach out to Mark, connect to what they're doing, and donate. Be a part of what they're doing, an impact here in Tarrant County and Fort Worth and surrounding cities. And they're hoping to make an even bigger impact to why they're doing it locally in other areas. So Mark, man, we could talk for hours, so I love you so much, but we're going to close this out, and we do it every time with a dance. So are you ready?
I'm ready, man. You ready for these moves?
Here we go. It's time for the segment Maximizer. We sent our guest a list of growth items to pick from. Let's see what our guest picked this week to maximize on the show. All right, Mark, you chose to do the website Grunt test. Why did you choose that?
I think it's just really, really important way to know whether you're capturing your audience or not, whether effectively. and whether or not the stuff that you're putting out there is working for your business.
And what's great is even asking you this, and this is something we've been walking through with you. So this is to me even more of like a teaching moment, because I feel like we've done a lot of this already with you through Hope Local. So the Grunt test is 3 questions. We're asking what it is you do, what you offer, how it's going to make my life better, and then what do I need to do to buy it and participate or be a part. So let's just look at that. When you pull up a website, and we're just going to look at the header, and this is what that Grunt test is. Only look at the top. When people pull it up, they say that you only have 5 seconds to answer those questions. And that is mind-boggling to me. I'm like, can I even say those questions in 5 seconds? People don't give you much time. So let's look at it. Pull up the site. We see Hope Local. It doesn't explain what you do, but that's okay. Most logos don't explain what it is you do. And then we scroll to the right. Most people do a Z. And we say, okay, about us, church resources, involved with churches maybe, schedule a meeting, donate. Okay, I definitely know what you want me to do. But we didn't come down, okay, helping vulnerable children find forever families. Awesome. That's a mission. That's something that makes sense as far as what it is that we're wanting to accomplish. We create frameworks and customized training for local faith-based organizations. Okay, what we've done here is we've already solidified the audience we're looking for as far as what we do and offer to. So it's like, cool, faith-based organizations who we're supporting. We create frameworks, customized deals to help those children find forever families. To me, that explains what it is we're doing, why it helps me, because really it's more bringing me into a story and inviting me to be a part of something. And you can still see below it too, every child deserves to belong to a family they can call their own. And I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that statement.
If you just imagine if you read that and they're like, no, I'm not able to come on board with this.
No, we're good. Yeah. Even if you don't have kids or care to have kids, you would agree with this statement. And then you just want me to schedule a meeting. So it's great. I think I know based off of this that if I'm a church organization or a faith-based organization or some nonprofit that's this way, that's what I need to do is schedule a meeting, because that's how I'm going to start helping my community or my congregation be involved. Now, if I'm not that person, it's very easy to, and now organizations can also do this, but let's donate because we need to be a part. So guys, donate. Y'all need to go to hopelocal.com, donate, support Mark and their team. But the Grunt test, it's basically pulling up your website, asking yourself in a few seconds, can you answer the question, what it is you actually do? Because most people don't even say that. They're putting all sorts of things out there with some services and things that doesn't explain what you do, how it can help them, because people only care about themselves in that moment. And then what you want them to do to buy it, right? Because if you can answer those things, then great. Then they might explore about us. They might explore other things and kind of get into that sphere. So Mark, any thoughts or comments on that?
Yeah, I think, I don't know if there's many businesses that might have the same issue. The things that we were struggling with was, from a website perspective, are we more interested in our customers, which is really churches, or are we more interested in donors, which would be sort of just individuals that want to know about what we do? And I feel like what we've created here, it speaks to both of those audiences. And that schedule a meeting button has worked great for us. We have several people. It was quite frequent where someone even who just came as a donor saw that they could schedule a meeting and connect us with people at their church, and it's worked really great for us. So it's been a good balance between those two worlds.
That's awesome. Well, that's great to hear too. So yeah, reevaluate your website. Come back to this, watch it, ask yourself those questions, and let us know if it's something that we can help support you in maximizing something for your business. But we hope it does it right now. So Mark, thanks so much for allowing us to do this with your website.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
All right, the best podcasts are the one that give you something you can take away with today. So we want to give you more. So hopefully you already have something you can take away. We're going to give you more. One of the best things in your business as it relates to marketing is understanding who you're talking to. So we have a download. It's called the 20-minute messaging makeover. And it's 5 different things you can work through. But we're going to talk about one today, knowing who your clients are, knowing who to talk to. It's very important to be able to create words to the people that matter. So we're going to talk about it real quick today. Jake, what do you think? What are some ways that we could figure that out, as we're working through our marketing and our messaging?
Yeah, so one of the biggest problems we have as business owners or leaders or people trying to talk to people we want to do business with is we talk about ourselves a lot. a lot. And so the first step you have to do is get the focus off yourself and talk about the people you want to talk to. But how do you do that? How do you find the people that are your avatar or your persona or your target market? Well, a lot of times we can make it too complex. We like to just go, who are the favorite people? Who are our favorite customers?
Right.
Who are the clients that we just absolutely love crushing for, or spending time with, or doing things like that? And what's funny is I think we overthink it because, for example, for us, we have a client named Juan who has a fantastic food truck catering business, and we just love his food. His food's epic. But he has these values around his employees and how he does business and who he cares about and the way he gives back. And there's all these things we know we love about Juan, and that makes it easy for us to go, let's go find another person more like Juan. And what does he need here, right? What is he dealing with? So, James, what are your thoughts on Juan and his food?
First off, the food's incredible. Man, it got me through COVID. I can tell you that right now. No, for real. They're incredible. And that's what we did. We actually took him as a starting point for some of our messaging. And when we redid our messaging, it's like, this is the type of people we want to work with. These are the people we want to do business with. So let's start there and then start defining even more who people we're working with that we love doing business with. Let's talk to them first, answer these questions, and then create a survey or create an interview to start getting people involved with that type of person. And then knowing, okay, these are what their problems are. Here's how they're, that's how we write in our talking points. So it's important. You have to know who you're talking to, and it's hard to do. So that's just one. Right? Of the 5 in this free resource, 20-minute marketing message makeover. So go check it out. Download it. And the free resources in the show notes. You can go to quirkgrowth.com. And I think I said 20-minute marketing message makeover. It's actually 20-minute messaging makeover. It's shorter, easier to digest. So go download it and start making an impact on your messaging. Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you for joining the Clarity and Purpose Show. Wherever you are watching or listening, make sure you subscribe to the channel or podcast so you don't miss more growth frameworks from cause-driven leaders. We believe when a business leader aligns their team with their message, they become unstoppable.